So people ask me all the time about willpower and motivation. Is it the same? No, it's not. You can have high motivation and low willpower. You can have high willpower and no motivation, or low motivation. And you can have both. You can have high willpower, high motivation. And you can have low willpower, low motivation. But the two differences. So when I was talking about self-control today in the class, people think, they're weak-willed. They've got lack of willpower, the power of the will, and they think they're weak, they're not worthy, they overeat, they overconsume, etc., etc. And it's, number one, understanding what willpower is, how it works, and then two, willpower strategies, which I'll come on to. So, firstly, the willpower, this is on the back of the mindfulness expert, Ellen Langer, who was the first female graduate professor to pass out of Stanford, psychologist, 45 years ago. She's been studying mindfulness for the last 40 years. In the field of mindfulness is 45 years of old. And she talks about the unconscious and conscious in terms of mindfulness. So mindful is when you're a child and you're trying to touch the top button of a lift or an elevator. You're trying to jump up and hit the top button to light it up. That is being mindful. And then when you grow up, you get taller in height, or you've got the athleticism, the bounce, the jump, so you can reach the button. That becomes unconscious over time. So once it's conscious of it, you've got repetition and you can do it, it becomes then unconsciously most of the time. So that's switching over from being mindful to mindless. Mindful is being mindful, you want to touch that button in this case. Mindless is unconscious. You're not you're just touching it without thinking about it. So on the topic of willpower, we have got a very finite resource of willpower, the power of the will in each 24 hours. So the easiest way to think about it is the charge in a smartphone. So iPhone, Samsung, whatever phone you use. So if you've slept well and you've relaxed well, you've slept well, you've had a good night's sleep, and you have recharge your battery pack, if you like we do each day, each night with our devices, then you've got full charge the next day, and this is willpower. So that will deplete depending on your activities, depending on what's going through your 5 senses, depending on your distractions, depending on your life, depending on your world, your environment, what's going on, how you're feeling, all that sort of input that's coming in through the senses, the sounds, the sights, the smells, the taste, the memories, the decisions you're making, the food you're eating, what you're doing at the time, and we use that willpower, in a number of ways, and it depletes over the course of 24 hours. So the key really is to optimize the willpower and to sustain it once you know what it is. So if that is the willpower, then we just need to keep our phones and our willpower, to optimize willpower, i.e. charge for the day to get most out of the day. What is draining our willpower is a good exercise. What's taking your attention, what's taking your time, what's taking your willpower. And then you can do strategies, which I'll come on to in a second, which you can implement. And I've changed this since I've known about this, and I've been focused on cellular energy, mind, body and soul for the last 4 or 5 years. Been focused on sleep and trying to optimize and maximize my day. Optimize is key, hence focused on sleep to recharge, get up early, get the willpower hit. And then, so for me, my willpower is at its peak, sort of up until probably between the hours of if I'm at work in my day job, willpower is probably starting to drain around 1-2 o'clock, because I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock for my reasons, for my goals, for my incentives around my lifestyle at the time of this recording. So I'm up early before people's had their Cocoa Pops, so I can think, critically think, I can just reflect, and I can do a bit of journaling, do a bit of reading, and set myself up for the day so I can win the day. And then about midday, because I'm up early, and I've done my biggest tasks first, ideally, then my willpower's starting to drain. So digital detoxing, not touching your phone, not getting on there, limiting distractions, chucking yourself into tunnel vision on things, not getting pulled by things because we're not actually that important, and then turning off notifications, and then once you're sort of tired or lunchtime you get a break, then you have a look at it. And as your willpower's depleting, this is for me anyway, then you can get back to messages and people, because we're not actually that important. We think we're more important than we actually are. We all think we're running a country at times. It's just how we react to it. So I know in my regular routine, because I've got a night routine, I've got a morning routine, I've got a daytime routine, a very systematic way to optimize my cellular health, including one of them is willpower. So what I do, and it's an art and a skill, you need to be aware of it, you need to know strategies, what you can do. The key really is to optimize your willpower and divert your willpower to the biggest task, the important task of the day. If that's a decision, if it's creating content, if it's putting energy into something, studies, exams, courses, business consulting, making offers to people, whatever it is. So it's really key that we are aware of it. But what we do the opposite. We're not aware of it unless we focused on it or it's been brought to our attention. That's why I'm just chucking this out quickly. And also what we do, we don't listen to things and systems and our bodies and our phones, and the instruction manual for devices is to, let it run flat and then charge it. But what do? What do I do with my iPhone? I just get into a routine, leave it downstairs because you don't want it in the bedroom, and then plug it in and we just leave it on. So that's why we burn out our systems, our hard drive. It's just like the body, the brain, the hard drive. We burn these out unless we reset, recharge. And we take breaks, we take holidays, we take leave, that sort of stuff, which helps us do that. But the problem is no point doing all that on your own devices and working while you're on leave. So defeating the object. So willpower is a very finite game, infinite resource, that if you work well, you're aware of this and you can cash in on that. So picture it like an iPhone battery indicator. We've got a limited amount of it. Where is your willpower? Who is sucking the living daylights out of you? What conversations you're having? Who's the people you're hanging around with? What things are you reading? What things are you consuming? What are you doing? When you go to a supermarket, then people are in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. 2 hours of their life, and for some people it's weekly. And what happens is, there's over 80, 90,000 items in a main supermarket these days. 80 to 90,000 items, if not more, in a supermarket. If anyone actually finds out how many items are in their local shop or supermarket, let me know, please. Drop me a DM, just out of curiosity, no matter what country you're in. And then just think about that. So you go in, you're all excited, it's the weekly shop, or you might not be excited, you might have been dragged kicking and screaming. You go in there and you faff around, you're having conversations with yourself, or you're having conversations with the person you're in the shop with, and you're arguing over nut butters and breads, and should we do that, should we go black, should we go green, should we go coffee, should we go decaf, all them sort of decisions. And the attention and the decision fatigue, it's called, where we're making hundreds of decisions without even thinking about it. And then what happens is, an hour and a half in the boxing match in a supermarket, you're then at the tills ready to pay, you're actually licked and you're drained, and you are chinned and licked. And what they've not got is superfood at the tills. They've not got flax seeds, they've not got a nice sweet jacket potato ready warmed up so you can eat that while you're queuing. It's all the willpower foods, sugar, salt, fat, and this is everywhere. It's marketing, and they know, because of decision fatigue, and how people faff around because they've not got a list, they've not got an agenda, they're not in and out, and they've not eaten beforehand. They know blood glucose, blood sugar levels have dropped, which means you're hungry, you're tired, you've done 50,000 steps in your brain thinking about what butter, that butter, this butter, that butter. Then it's very hard, and then people blame themselves and think their self-control is weak and poor will, etc., etc., which is not. It's the opposite is true. So just think about that for a second. and on the willpower, and then you get some sugar, salt and fat, which is fine, it's normal, and you can do that. It's important to do that, especially if you've got children. You don't want them, you're stuck chewing on a carrot when you're in the local co-op or you're queuing for Lidl. Not that you get time in Lidl, because they just throw the food at your head and get off there as fast as you can. I take my time and just go really slow, just and breathe. I'm not in a rush to pack my bags. But so self-control and willpower is very very different, but it's really, if you can understand it, and if you look back at the studies with the Walter Mischel with the marshmallow experiment, just search and Google marshmallow experiment, what they did back in the years ago, and what they did, marshmallows, the sweet, the flump, the marshmallows you see, the pink and white stuff. What they did, they brought children into a room, I think it's 5 to 7 year olds. They brought people into a room. It was all a proven trial studies, and they brought a marshmallow out and put it on a plate in front of a child, and the teacher or the parent or the orchestrator of the experiment said, right, and it was a test of instant gratification and delayed gratification and willpower combined, and then they left them in a room for 15 minutes with a camera on. They didn't know there was cameras there. The kids didn't know what was going on, and the message was, listen, if you eat this marshmallow, if you refrain from eating this marshmallow in the next 15 minutes, there's various versions of this studies, by the way, but if you eat it within 15 minutes, then you don't get any more. If you then have the willpower and resist and don't do it, then you get more. And what they did, they followed these children at the time on for 30, 40 years later on in their lifespan, and they've been interviewed since, these people that was on that initial experiment. And what's quite interesting is those who did refrain from eating, they had more delayed gratification for it. They were patient, they didn't have it, and then what happened was that they got a second one, obviously, but then later on in life, I think the majority, I can't remember if all of them, I can't remember exactly, they was more successful in work, in everything they did, work, life, balance, business, their jobs, their career, relationships, etc. So it's really interesting on the power of delayed gratification and being a little bit patient. And on the topic of self-control, because a lot of the things is we think we're weak-willed and all that sort of stuff, and it's like hunger, true hunger and psychological hunger. We also talk about in our classes that a lot of it is it's thirsty. It's thirst. You're just dehydrated, but people think you're hungry, and think certain things trigger behaviours. It might not be us. The coffee chat comes out at tea break time, and then the cake comes out because it's somebody's birthday, and that's okay, it's important to do. But when that cake comes out for a second and third visit and the final bit on Friday, that's 5 days a week. If you're on a weight management or you're restricting a restricted diet for whatever reason, then that's not good. But it's important to socialise and have that bit of cake and celebration. So you might have got the thing wrong with self-control and willpower. So it's worth just rethinking and just having a think about, how is your willpower? It's different to motivation. How are you using your willpower today? Are you running around after other people? Are you not prioritising and protecting your willpower? So you want to be protecting your willpower and focus on the things that really matter. That's really going to move the needle. And that's what I've done. And I'm trying to put blinkers on, just like a horse race, a racehorse, sorry. Race horses that have got blinkers on, and when they race, they've got a blinker like that, so they can't look left and right. So it can't take their attention off the finish line, and they just want to run in straight lines because they'll be distracted and jump all over and knock jockeys off and kill themselves and all that sort of stuff. So there's being blinkered and focused, laser focused on willpower in terms of, right, I've got a finite amount of it. Whatever that looks like, be different for different people, different stages. Your willpower might be the highest at 9 o'clock at night. It might be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on your circadian clocks, your circadian rhythms. So just if you think you've got lack of willpower because you feel a bit of a mess, or you don't like the look of yourself at the moment, you look in that mirror and some people are seeing they're a lion, and actually inside they are actually a pussycat, and they're broken. Not that pussycats are broken, and some people think they are a lion inside, and they're looking at a pussycat. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but basically you see what I'm saying. The infographic that we see on online, whereas you've got a little kitten looking into a mirror and it portrays itself as a lion, and then you've got the lion sat outside and you've got looking at the mirror, and actually the people think they're strong as an ox and they know everything and they're all clever and good and strong and survival and they're world beaters and all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden they're actually inside they're a little soft pussycat, you know, for an example. So yeah, so look at willpower, self-control. Definitely worth doing some research, but it doesn't mean you are weak-willed. Things are done in place. Psychological marketing is world-class these days. Yeah, so I just thought I wanted to share that. If you want to see that, if you want the video on that I've done, then of me teaching that, talking about that, then just drop the link below. Just comment willpower or drop me a DM willpower, and then I'll send you over my YouTube video. Hope that helps.